Yo, this is Chuck. Now, what I'd like to discuss today is injuries and illnesses. So let's face it doesn't matter if you're a martial artist, it doesn't matter if you're a regular sports athlete, or if you're just kind of a regular dude, a regular homegirl, or whatever. Don't nothing suck like getting hurt or getting sick. Well, that is with the possible exception of dying. That might just could suck a little bit more at it, So anyway, what I would like to do for all y'all lovely people today is outline 5 ways that you can heal your body quickly and purge yourselves of the demons infecting your physical self. Or at least get over a cold or a sprained ankle or something, whichever. And of course, do it all for free. Yeah. Number 1, go to bed early. Now, even though there are some of us that like to stay up really, really late, the fact of the matter is no human body is really biologically programmed to. All of us are actually programmed to go to bed early. The golden hours for sleep are between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. and the more rest you get within that period and the longer you sleep as well, the better everything in your body runs. The better your memory is, the more fat you burn, the more alert you are, the more energy you have, the better you learn. All those things are affected really, really heavily by how much and how well you're sleeping and at what time you go to sleep. But especially healing are so much better and so much more efficient when you go to bed early. I'll put the link down at the bottom if you guys want to actually check out what I'm talking about. But not too long ago, I read an article that said that, they took a bunch of athletes and with no other changes, they just made them sleep for 10 hours a day. And all of them universally optimized their performance. Well, not too long ago, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, a K1 fighter who I trained with back in the day in Taekwondo in Korea, Bernard Aka. And in case you haven't seen this homeboy, he gets ripped up as hell. Here's a picture. BAM! So then I'm all like, dog, how do you do that, man? Like, how do you get so insanely ripped in such a short period of time like that? And then one thing that he told me that actually really surprised me was that although, of course, diet and exercise are extremely important, so is sleep. Sleep is huge. So whether you're trying to get over a cold, you're trying to get rid of a cold sore, you're trying to get over, a pulled muscle or a sprained ankle, the most important thing is that you rest and you rest really well. Now, I know in the modern era, it's really, really easy to be like, oh, I'm too busy or I don't have time. But the longer that injury or the longer that illness lingers on in your system, the less and less and less and less effective you're going to be in the long run. So regardless of what you're doing or regardless of how busy you are, it makes a lot more sense to just stop, cut out all the things that you don't need or all the things that are unnecessary and just rest as much as you humanly possibly can. Number 2, drink more water. Now, at least in my own experience, every single time I've ever gone to a doctor about absolutely anything, the first thing they always tell you is drink more water. And I don't exactly think that all of them all over the world are trying to play some massive prank on everybody. Basic hydration is a lot like rest, and it's one of those things that's so simple and so easy to do and makes such a massive difference in terms of your recovery time, but so many people just ignore it or disregard it. Now, there is such a thing as water intoxication, and people can actually die from drinking way too much water. So you don't exactly want to be all like, just because you're trying to stay hydrated. Everything in moderation, Kimosabi. Number 3. Eat the right foods. Your body is a machine, kind of a soft and mushy machine, but still a machine nonetheless. As such, if you want it to run correctly, you simply have to give it the right fuel. You're not going to pour like maple syrup in your gas tank, right? Of course not. So why do the same thing to your body when it's trying to heal itself or trying to fix itself? Give it the fuel that it needs. Because in addition to the kind of baseline energy needs that it needs for daily maintenance and keeping your heart beating and keeping your brain working and all that other stuff, it's expending extra energy on trying to fix something. Which again is also another reason why you need more rest and more water, by the way. In general, at least in so much as I've read, protein, vitamin C, and zinc are big ones. When you get really sick or when you get really hurt, one of the first things you want to do is just cut all the crap out of your diet. Because if you don't, in fact, what's happening is your body's trying to expend all this energy digesting, all this sugar and all this fat and high fructose corn syrup and all these things that in actuality aren't really giving you any nutritional value. And as a function of that, aren't giving your body what it needs to fix itself. Not to mention the fact that all that stuff is just going to turn into more fat on your body, and having excess fat and excess weight that you have to carry just generally puts more stress on your body anyway. So again, just like all the doctors say, rest, get more fluids, and eat right. Those are the big things that will help your body to heal itself quickly. Number 4, listen to your body. Now, for those of you who've seen my first vid on stretching, I've said this before, but the general rule with anything within your body is that a little bit of discomfort is okay. Pain is not. In particular, when you're trying to rehabilitate something. A little bit of discomfort is okay because that shows that you're pushing past yesterday's limit. Like searing, mind-blowing pain shows that you're going way too far and you're very likely to hurt yourself again. So you need to stop. That also means if you're tired, even if you feel like you shouldn't be tired, then you need to just stop and rest. Maybe you just didn't sleep well last night, or you might be dealing with some kind of stress at a subconscious level, or you might be putting stress on something that physically you don't even feel. But for whatever reason, your body is trying to tell you something. So if you feel sick, if you feel nauseous, if you feel tired, then just stop what you're doing and just rest. The other thing that you need to keep in mind as well is that especially when you're recovering from something, your body feels better before it is better. For example, if you sprain your ankle or something like that, it will feel better and it will feel like you can perform on it before you actually can. If you're recovering from a cold, you'll feel like all the symptoms are gone, even though it will actually still be in your system for a few more days. So when you're recovering, in particular, if all of a sudden, you feel like something hurts or if you feel tired, then you need to just stop right there. Your body feels better before it is better. Always. So give it a little bit more time than you think it needs. When you ignore it, that's when you get the cold that just won't go away. Or you get the injury that just keeps recurring over and over and over again. Number 5, use the internet. Now, this isn't me saying in any way, shape, or form that you should just completely ignore your doctor or stop going to the doctor because of something you read on the internet. But that being said, when you have no other resources to work with, or if you don't have medical insurance to go see a doctor or something, then the internet can be an incredible resource as long as you stick with credible sources. And you probably sitting at home thinking, Chuck, how is it that I can know what on the internet is good and what on the internet is bull? But in actuality, it's really not that complicated. Basically, you need to just look at the actual quality of the website itself. You need to look at who's talking and what their credibility markers are, and then what kind of references that they leave. If you go to a website and it's really crappy looking and you have no idea who's talking, or if you do know who's talking, you have no idea what their background is or what their credibility markers are, and especially if they don't leave any kind of references as to where they get their information from, that's really not a good sign. Good writers will always tell you where they get their information from, whether it be from personal experience or from something that they read or something that they learned. Now, to give you an example of how big of a difference using the internet as a resource can make, beginning of this year, I was working on a Japanese movie up in the mountains of Ibaraki when we got the first hard snowfall of the year. We were stranded in the mountains. We were up there for like 3 days. We were filming the whole time. I'm in like 0-degree weather, no sleep, and needless to say, my immune system got really, really compromised. During that time, at some point, I drank out of the wrong person's cup on set. I ended up contracting what's called the Epstein-Barr virus, and this stuff just absolutely rocked my system. I ended up having simultaneous liver and kidney dysfunction, tonsillitis, these huge cold sores in my mouth, and a fever of like 40.5. It was just horrible. Went to the doctor to find out what the hell was going on, got diagnosed, and he said, I'm sorry, but there's no treatment, there's no vaccine, there's no cure for this. You're just going to have to fight your way through it. Now, a fever of 40.5 really just messes you up. So most of the time I was too exhausted to do anything. But whenever I did have any kind of energy at all, first thing I would do was go get online and spend all of my time looking up symptoms and treatments for symptoms that were related to this issue. And yes, there was no way to actually treat the virus itself, but what I could do was systematically attack and alleviate the symptoms one by one. And that's what I did. Like one of the things I found out is that if you're having problems with your kidneys, one of the easiest and fastest ways to bring them back online without any kind of expensive treatment is to drink copious amounts of cranberry juice. I don't know why it works, but apparently it works, and I did it, and it worked for me. Also spoke to my moms, who had also worked her way through kidney failure, who did the same thing, and she said that it worked for her. This is also when I found out just how important protein is for your diet when your body is trying to heal itself, and at the time I couldn't eat because I had tonsillitis and like these massive cold sores and things, but I just started slamming the protein shakes and as much yogurt as I could. Basically, by searching out all this stuff on the internet, on the most reliable websites I could find, through trial and error, I was able to find ways to treat the symptoms myself, and I ended up getting over all of the symptoms in only 2 weeks. When for most people over 30 who contract an EB virus infection, it takes 3 to 6 months to get over it. So again, folks, to recap, 5 things that you need to do in order to heal your body quickly and for free. Number 1, rest. Number 2, drink more water. Number 3, eat the right foods. Number 4, listen to your body. Number 5, use the internet as a resource. But don't just listen to anybody. Now, all that other stuff being said, I'd like to leave y'all with an acronym for dealing with soft tissue injuries, meaning sprains, strains, muscle tears, or pulled muscles, or something like that. RICE. Meaning rest, ice, compression, and elevation. These 4 things will help tremendously when you're dealing with any kind of a soft tissue injury. Now, as I'm sure all y'all are beginning to notice, Chuck's running out of light, so that means that I need to stop here. If you'd like to know more about the RICE formula, please check out the references that I left below, in particular the one from sportsmedicineabout.com. That's it for today. Hope to see you next time. Yosh!